5 of our public speaking instructors here on campus, along with Julie Semlak, Bailey Patterson, Crystal Stratton here on the Cheyenne campus, as well as Tara Page over on our Laramie campus. It is amazing to see so many of you out here tonight, and we couldn't be able to do cool things like this without the support of the community, so we truly do appreciate that voices category. Our creative voices category is a lot like slam poetry, so it's going to be more of that ceremonial special occasion type, and the compelling voices, again, is going to be your traditional, informative, or persuasive style speeches. So without further ado, let's get our first speaker started. Our first speaker is in the compelling voices category. It is Jamie Jones. She is part of the health science and wellness pathway and is planning on applying to the dental hygiene program at the end of the summer in 2024. Today she will be presenting the speech, Evidence of Evolution, Vestigial Structures of the Human Body. So please, let's all welcome Jamie Jones. Here you go, speak. Okay, good luck. Thank you.
So we've all probably seen that National Geographic documentary, right? You see the shark going after the seal and that white eyelid comes over. Well, that creepy white eyelid, you have that too. Granted, it's tiny and recessed and it doesn't serve a big role in us anymore. This and other structures on us that may have been helpful in our ancestors but we no longer used are called vestigial structures. We are human beings, and I think that's important that we know about our own bodies. Additionally, because I'm a health sciences major, I find that learning about the body is very interesting. There are many vestigial structures in the body, but today I'll be talking about only 3 of them: the nictitating membrane, wisdom teeth, and tailbones. Returning back to that shark eyelid example, I will first tell you about the nictitating membrane. The nictitating animals that do have them. According to David Maggs, author and editor of the 2008 book, Slatter's Fundamentals of Veterinary Ophthalmology, the third eyelid helps with the distribution of the precorneal tear film. Well, what is that precorneal tear film? It's just a liquid film on the eye that keeps eyes moist, reduces the and this was also according to David Maggs. Here are some examples of what nictitating membranes looks like in like a cat, a shark, and even in a human. Notice how it's very pronounced in the cat and the shark, but in the human, it's very faint. You would see point. So it's rarely seen in humans. However, there was this one instance at the Sankara Eye Hospital in India. The doctor was Dr. Hari Prasad Vakuda. There was a 9-year-old girl that came in, and she did have a full third eyelid in her right eye. This is what it looked like before the operation. So you don't typically see this on humans. It's kind of a rare instance, and it was removed without any complications. Well, it's been a long time since these full eyelids have been seen on humans. Wisdom teeth are an entirely different story. I will now describe the second vestigial structure of the night, wisdom teeth, also known as third molars. First and foremost, our ancestors needed wisdom teeth. According to the Cleveland Clinic, our ancestors' primitive diet consisted of a lot of raw plants, hard nuts, and tough meats. And wisdom teeth were necessary to grind these foods for proper digestion. How many of you, maybe grabbed tough nuts and nibble a little bark off a tree before you came here tonight? Maybe, probably not any of you. Maybe a couple peanuts. But likely maybe had some chicken nuggets or a little granola bar. So really it's overkill to have all of these molars in your mouth, so we've just stopped growing them. Yeah. And also jaw sizes have changed since our ancestors. Notice the Neanderthal jaw is much bigger than the human jaw. So we can't fit those molars in our mouth maybe like our ancestors used to. So that's also just why we're not developing them like we maybe used to, and they're not as necessary for us. According to the Cleveland Clinic, one research study found that 53% of the general population has at least one wisdom tooth, but some people never develop wisdom teeth at all. So after talking about wisdom teeth, I'll now tell you about another commonly known vestigial structure, the tailbone, also known as the coccyx. Firstly, large tails are seen in human embryos as well as other animal embryos. So I have kind of a little game for you guys to play. I'll see if the slide works here. So there are 5 different organisms here. They're all vertebrae. They have vertebrae on them. So one of them is a human. I don't know if you guys can try and guess which one could be the human. There's also a chicken on here and a possum. Well, That first one's actually a human embryo. This next one is an opossum embryo. This is a chicken embryo. This is a salamander embryo, and this is a garfish embryo. Here's the original picture. I just cropped out that bottom row because it's very easy to see which one is a human and which one might actually be like a salamander or a fish. According to science journalist Laura Spinney, the coccyx is made of 4 vertebrae that fuse together. And that happens during gestation, so that's why you might have not seen a huge tail on that fully developed human compared to where you might have seen it in an opossum. According to Spinney, there are more than 100 medical reports of babies born with tails. And babies who are born with tails, it's more like a little nub. Think of like an extension of the spinal cord. So if you've ever seen the movie Shallow Hal at the end where his friend's kind of wagging his tail, it's not like that. So it's usually when it occurs on babies, it's just removed at birth and with few complications. So after talking about these vestigial structures, let's review and consider ones you may or may not have. So while there are many vestigial structures in the body, today we only talked about 3 of them. The third eyelid, which everyone has, wisdom teeth, which you may or may not have, and the tailbone, which everyone has, but some may have a longer tailbone than others. Vestigial structures show how we've evolved and changed over time, and that keeps me wondering, what will future humans look like? Nowadays, we aren't running from cave bears, and we aren't eating the bark off of trees, and needing to scavenge to survive. Nowadays, we're more having deaths related to illnesses along the lines of diabetes or heart disease related to the Western diet with lots of fats and sugars. I'd be interested to see if maybe future humans' digestive systems could adapt somehow to process these fats and sugars, so maybe there'd be even less deaths caused by those type of diseases and illnesses, so who knows?
Jamie, quick question for you. What drew you to this topic?
Well, I just find it really interesting because this is my first year at LCCC, and right now I'm in an anatomy class, and I'm just learning more about the body. And even in dental hygiene, it's applicable because humans and wisdom teeth, we're not developing those anymore. So I just find it really a different subject.
So tell us, does everybody have wisdom teeth? I learned this yesterday.
No, not everyone has wisdom teeth. Some people are not born with any wisdom teeth at all. Some people are born with all 4. Some people are born with 3 or 2, and then a lot of people just have them extracted later in life too, which is why you wouldn't see them in everyone as well.
Fair enough. Let's give one more big round of applause to Jamie. Awesome. Good luck with your chemistry test.
Thank you.
As our judges are deliberating and tallying the scores and leaving their comments for our next speakers, I do want to take some time to thank a few of our judges, Trustee Don Erickson and Jerry Griego. Don Erickson was elected to the board in 2012. He is a former mayor of Cheyenne, serving for 12 years in the late 70s through the 80s. He has 2 degrees from the University of Illinois, a bachelor's of science in health education, and a med in medical education research. He also has a Master of Public Health for the University of North Carolina, and he has served on numerous civic and health-related boards and organizations. So thank you, Trustee Erickson, for being here today. Also, we'd like to thank Jerry Griego. For those of you that have been with LCCC for a while, that name is very familiar. LCCC has been a part of her life since high school, and a few years here, now and there. She has graduated in the accounting and business with honors and transferred over to the University of UW. She found her time at LCCC to be very supportive and nurturing, especially with her transition that was seamless over to UW. After graduating from UW with a Bachelor's of Science degree in accounting and a Master's in business administration, she embarked on her career into the financial industry. She has discovered that teaching really was her passion after teaching as an adjunct for several years. And she was also named the first emeritus faculty member at LCCC, which is a huge honor, and we thank you for that. She understands that there is a level of learning that occurs with experiences of this nature, having traveled to 71 different countries. So thank you again to Trustee Don Erickson, as well as Emeritus faculty, Jerry Griego, for being here tonight. Do we all know who this guy is? He is quite delightful. Quite scary sometimes, but also quite delightful. So what does he have to do with public speaking? We're going to learn a little tonight. So James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, as well as Mufasa, he had a stuttering problem when he was actually a little kid. And he refused to leave his house. He spent most of his time kind of hiding away from everybody and just wanted nothing to do with the world. And he did that all the way until his upper teens. So with voice lessons and encouragement from a voice teacher, he overcame the stutter and became one of the most recognized voices that we hear today in Hollywood. Beyond him, we also have that of Lucille Ball, Cher, Thomas Edison, and Harrison Ford that also shared a lot of those fears and concerns when it came to public speaking. It is a skill, and a lot of people don't think of it as a skill. It's very similar to learning how to kick a soccer ball, as well as even playing the guitar. So with that, the more that we have public speaking, the more that we are able to kind of practice those components. So with that, we have lots of wonderful prizes that we have to give out today. So we are going to give our first door prize out right now for all of our lovely people. First thing we're going to give out is our wonderful mug. It is a coveted mug. It seems to be a fan favorite of people here at LCCC. So our first ticket goes to somebody that's in the back, actually. You guys will hear from her in a little while. It's going to go to Claire Kaiser. I know, she's going to be so excited when she finds out. She's in the back. She's getting ready for her speech. But at this time now, we are going to start prepping for our next speaker. Our next speaker is Shannon Kreitzer, and if you were here on Sunday, you got to hear her wonderful voice as part of our soloist with the jazz band. She will be our next speaker in the Compelling Voices category, presenting ADHD, not just a boys club. She is in the Communication and Creative Arts pathway as a theater major. Shannon hopes to show with national tours or be on cruise ships one day. A fun fact about Shannon is she has read Marcus Zukak's The Book Thief 3 times now. So please welcome to the stage, Shannon.
Wow, this is the highest score I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm so sorry. This is what my doctor told me when I was diagnosed with ADHD. Both of my brothers and my mother have ADHD. I struggled with it my entire life, but I wasn't diagnosed until I was 17. It's important that we understand what ADHD is and what it looks like, especially in women. This world can be incredibly cruel to women, so it's important that we understand how to help them and how to support them. Throughout the entire history of the world, women have often been expected to be everything to everyone. Always. This is an insane pressure to fulfill, especially for somebody who thinks differently and operates differently. So today, we'll learn about the different symptoms of ADHD in girls and boys, how those differing symptoms impact diagnosis, and how a lack of diagnosis can lead to an incredibly harmful and dangerous lifestyle. So, what are the differing symptoms? Like I said earlier, women face a pressure to be everything to everyone. We're expected to be polite, kind, nice, ladylike, beautiful, and to be perfect. Again, an impossible ideal to achieve. So when you think differently and when you operate differently, how are you supposed to even reach normal, let alone perfect? When you think of ADHD, what do you think of? Do you think of somebody who is bouncy, somebody who likes to talk, and somebody who's always impatient? That's probably because a majority of those symptoms are men's symptoms. This leads to harmful stereotypes. A list of men's symptoms include interrupting others, an inability to control vocal volume, excessive talking, impatience, and constant fidgeting. Women tend to suffer because their symptoms don't match those of men. In a post titled ADHD, a Women's Issue, published by the American Psychological Association, PhD psychologist Kathleen Nodju states, girls experience significant struggles that are often overlooked because their symptoms bear little resemblance to that of boys. It's hard to be heard in a world that doesn't want to listen to you. So when you don't look like what people expect you to look like, how are you expected to ever be treated fairly? So what are women's symptoms? Women's symptoms include low self-esteem, impulsivity, heightened hormone levels, rejection sensitivity, and poor attention skills. These differing symptoms lead to lower diagnosis rates. For example, when my brother was 12 years old at a parent-teacher conference, his teacher briefly said, "You should have him tested." And within the week, he was diagnosed. I, however, had to go to a month of therapy just to make sure it wasn't something else. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, ADHD is diagnosed in grown men at a 5.4%, grown women at a 3.2%. In adolescents, boys are diagnosed at a 13%. In young girls, only 4%. That is a 9% difference. Millions of little girls are being left out to struggle alone, to wonder why they're built differently, and to wonder what is wrong with them. It's important that we have a diagnosis in any kind of field, whether it's a physical disability, a mental disability, a physical illness, or a mental illness. A diagnosis leads to a better understanding of our world. It leads to a better understanding of how we operate in the world and how the world operates around us. It leads to a better sense of identity. Diagnoses can also lead to coping. One way that people cope with ADHD is medication. A lot of people with ADHD take medication. I personally choose not to be medicated. I think it's more fun that way. My professors might not agree. Another way of coping is routines. A lot of people with ADHD find that routines are incredibly important and helpful. It leads to creating moments of peace and quiet in a chaotic life. And one of the most important coping mechanisms is finding community and camaraderie. If you have a diagnosis, you can reach out to other people who have a diagnosis. You can share tips and tricks, and you can find a place of belonging and a place of understanding. Without a diagnosis, however, life is incredibly hard. Oftentimes, when you don't have a diagnosis, especially of any kind of mental disability or mental illness, it leads to looking for fulfillment and understanding in harmful and sometimes dangerous ways. The editors at ADDitude, or Attitude, which is a magazine dedicated to educating the public on ADHD and has been in operation for 25 years, writes, "It is common to find an early initiation of sexual activity, early intercourse, more sexual partners, more casual sex, less protected sex, more sexually transmitted infections, and more unplanned pregnancies in women with ADHD." Oftentimes, women have a certain ideal placed on them, that we do certain things, that we are a certain way, just because of the way we are. Now, when you add that to trying to understand who you are and just looking for a moment of peace, it adds to so many harmful stereotypes and so much pain and suffering. Now imagine trying to go through a world that you don't understand. You don't understand yourself. Now imagine trying to bring a child into that world. It's incredibly hard and difficult and painful. Without a diagnosis, girls also suffer in school. They have less educational support and less support from school staff. This leads them to ask questions like, why am I not good enough? What's wrong with me? Why can't I do what they do? Why don't I understand? What is wrong with me? When in reality, nothing is wrong with them. It is simply that the world doesn't understand them and that they might not understand the world that they live in. In conclusion, stereotypes and sexism and harmful expectations of women hurt everybody, but especially women with ADHD. The differences in symptoms lead to being less likely to be diagnosed, which leads to a continuation of struggles throughout one's entire life. If we understand what ADHD looks like, especially in women, we can become better allies. We can be stronger support systems for those who might not be struggling, and we won't even be able to see it because we don't expect it. Let's make the world a kinder and better place by being educated and being open to something that might not be the stereotypical. Thank you.
Hi, Shannon. Hi. So you had mentioned creating a support system. So how can our audience out here go about doing that?
So something that's really, really important is, like I said, being educated. If you know what it looks like, you can reach out to other people who you think might be struggling with it. And then if you receive a diagnosis, you can be honest with other people about it. And being honest about something that you struggle with leads to identity with people who also might be struggling with it, but they don't know that they're struggling with it. It creates a sense of community and camaraderie and safety within people who are also going through something similar.
Very true, very true. So people typically, when we get into situations like this, ask what your least favorite part is, what the biggest struggle. I want to know what your favorite part was.
My favorite part is, especially with ADHD, I think ADHD is really fun, actually. It's really hard for schooling and things like that, but I think people with ADHD have such an innate ability to love more, because we're constantly looking for things that captivate our attention, so we're able to hold much more attention to things that we love, and we're able to create spaces and art and music and different things and all of these beautiful, beautiful things that capture our attention, and we get to share that with so many people, and I think it's just really beautiful.
Nice. Let's give one more big round of applause to Shannon. Good job. All right, so you guys heard me earlier mention that we have 2 different categories. So right now our 4 judges are judging our first 2 compelling voices. If you guys look at your programs, you guys have a QR code on there. You guys get to be the judges for our creative voices category, and we have 3 of those speakers tonight. So if you grab your phones out, you use your QR code scanner, you can actually scan the QR code and have a practice question on there for you. But it'll pop up directly to its Mentimeter that we use. The comm department loves technology. We have Mentimeter, we have Padlet, Quizlet, all the things. So with that, first question is, what is the fear of public speaking actually called? So you got 4 options. You've got globophobia, glossophobia, agoraphoobia, and anthosphobia. So yes, from your phone, you just select one of those, and it actually tallies it in the back, and I'm going to cheat and see how well we're doing. You guys are pretty spot on, actually. About 75% of you guys did get that correct. It is glossophobia. So glossophobia comes from the Greek term glosso, meaning tongue, so fear of tongue, fear of talking. But if we combine the other 2, so the globophobia is the fear of balloons. And the agoraphoobia is the fear of teddy bears. I didn't know that was a thing, but it very much is. And then anthosphobia is the fear of flowers. So combine those 3 together, and we have a pretty wicked Valentine's Day coming up for a poor person. So yes, we'll keep all those at bay. So with that, up next, we're going to have our first Creative Voices speaker, and again, you guys get to be the judge of that. So, without further ado, we are going to bring out our first speaker in the Creative Categories Voices. It is Cora Bialik. She is a senior at Cheyenne Central High School, right here. She currently is in the health science pathway, and again, when she eventually joins here at LCCC, she is going to work on her associate's degree and attend the University of Idaho in environmental studies. She hopes to one day open a cafe bakery of her own, so please welcome to the stage Cora Bialik as she presents What Herbalism Has Taught Me.
Herbalism found me by pop-up ads on Pinterest, and after further investigation, I found a passion that led me through my hardest years of high school. Herbalism has taught me lessons in life I never would have learned otherwise, and each plant that I have encountered has taught me a different lesson. Some plants have taught me the importance of patience and nurturing, as they require constant care and attention to thrive. Others have taught me the power of resilience, as they can endure harsh climates and still bloom beautifully. Through nature, I have gained a deeper understanding of the world around me and its ability to heal and provide for me. Through herbalism, I have gained a deeper appreciation for these plants, and I have come to realize that their healing properties extend far beyond their physical abilities. The process of growing, harvesting, and using these plants have become a form of therapy for me, a way to reconnect with the earth and find some solace in its simplicity. Herbalism has reminded me of the interconnectedness of all living beings and the delicate balance that must be maintained. It is through these plants that I have come to realize their power and wisdom, and it has brought a sense of calmness into my busy life. For example, raspberry has taught me how to embrace my femininity. It has taught me how to show my soft side to others while keeping my thorns close. Raspberry has shown me how to accept being female in all of its aspects. It has taught me that it is not a weakness to enjoy being a woman, yet a celebration of my power and grace. Raspberry has become a symbol of empowerment for me, a way to stand tall and embrace my femininity with pride. Oak has taught me that growth doesn't happen instantly. It can take several years to notice a change in a situation. Oak has taught me how to stand up against the blowing winds of fads and materialism for myself and those I love. I learned to be patient and persistent, knowing that authenticity comes from being true to myself. I have found the strength to resist instant gratification and to foster personal growth within me. Yarrow has taught me the power of resilience. It has shown me that unfavorable conditions should make me stronger and better able to help others around me. It has taught me that loyalty to myself is more important than loyalty to those who will feed off of me. Yarrow, with its uncanny ability to thrive in difficulty, has shown me that resilience will always conquer adversity. Yarrow has taught me how to channel these unfavorable conditions into opportunities of growth, becoming a beacon of strength for others along the way. Dandelion has shown me how to attract good people and how to nurture the hearts of those I love. It has taught me that no matter what stage I'm in, I'm needed and beautiful, even though some won't see me that way. Dandelion has taught me that I shouldn't let others' opinions define my worth, because that's not who I am. It has taught me that criticism and critique should make me stronger, and I should hold my head high and continue to spread love no matter what people say to me. Dandelion has taught me how to thrive with my own heart, no matter what others may say. Nature has taught me these lessons that I never would have learned. In nature's presence, I find a sense of belonging that I never would have found, and that words alone cannot convey. Whether it's the melodies of birds singing or the blooming flowers in the woods, I have learned that life changes and is full of beauty. In nature's embrace, I am free to be myself, unburdened by societal expectations and judgments. I have learned to thrive with my own self and to love myself, no matter what others may say. Nature has taught me to appreciate the simple things in life and to find solace in the simple rhythm of the world. Thank you.
Hi, Cora.
Hi.
I do want to give an extra round of applause to Cora because I think Cora is actually our first high school student that's ever entered into our Talon Talks. So that I do want to. So with that, if we want to learn more about herbals, where can we go look, read, see about this?
Honestly, online is probably the best way to start, as long as you go to like trustworthy websites, or you can check out a book at the library, or you can just go to a store like Natural Grocers. They have a lot of supplements there that you can just get off of the shelves and start your journey there.
Very nice, very
Yeah.
nice. So with the future cafe and bakery, how are we going to include herbals into your future business?
You can make actually a lot of foods with herbals. Like, I don't know, if you put basil on your pasta, like that's putting herbs on your food. So you can put it in breads, you can make teas with it, you can even make coffee with the roots of some plants, and it's really good.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Let's give Cora one more big round of applause.
Thank you.
So again, you guys are the judges of our creative voices. So again, if you go back to that Mentimeter, you have 5 different categories that you'll get to judge with. You'll have confidence, content, creativity, delivery, and then the overall success of the particular speech. Similar to our first question with glossophobia, just go ahead and rank those and put those through, and then from there, We will tally up the scores for the end. I tell my students all the time, make sure you number your note cards. I didn't number my note cards, so I gotta figure out this order when I go back in the back. It'll be super fun. But while I'm figuring out my chaos, up next we are going to have Miss Bobby Hudak presenting White Tigers, The Lie. She is a business and accounting major, soon to be applying for the applied management major in the business and accounting pathway. She is currently a manager at Blackjack Pizza, and she's hoping her time here at LCCC will help further her business career with that. So with that, please welcome to the stage Bobby Hudak presenting White Tigers, The Lie.
Running for your life. Your 3 siblings and mom are already dead, and you should be next. You're only just a baby whenever you're finally captured, but instead of a new chance at life, you're forced to procreate with your own granddaughter. That was the story of Mohan, the grandfather of today's White Tigers, according to Tigers in America, an organization that has rehomed 342 tigers, or 521 animals altogether. The Maharaja, or King of India, had tried to breed the white gene from Mohan, but failed until resulting to breeding him with his own granddaughter. And that became the sad reality for all white tigers. Even now, all white tigers in the US are related to Mohan. As we can all agree, animal cruelty is wrong, and it's important to be aware and discuss the cruelties against white tigers because most are oblivious to the issues that we face. Even growing up, my favorite animal was the white tiger, until I did a school project and kind of learned of the hidden atrocities that they face. Today we'll be discussing the hardships white tigers face. White tigers are not their own subspecies of tiger. The breeding practices are inhumane, and they're only bred for attraction rather than conservation. First off, white tigers are not their own subspecies of tiger, but a genetic mutation. If you look at the diagram up on the board, there's 9 different tigers pictured. According to animalspot.net, an online encyclopedia, there's only 9 different subspecies of tiger, with 3 being extinct crossed out, the Javan, Balinese, and Caspian. However, if you ask the World Wildlife Fund, an organization that specializes in helping endangered animals, updated in 2023, there's only 2 different subspecies of tiger, either the island Suma or the continental. As you can see, the island tigers are the circled ones, so that's the Sumatran, Sunda, and Balinese, and the Javan, versus all the rest of them are your continental tigers. But no matter how you classify them, whether it's 9 or 2 different subspecies, none of those tigers are white. Leucism is a recessive trait that causes the white gene. It differs from albinism because albinism only affects one skin pigment in humans, melanin, versus lions and tigers have many different skin pigments affected. And to breed for white tigers is no different than using using eugenics to get blue eyes in humans. Now that we know that white tigers are not their own subspecies, let's talk about the horrible breeding conditions. White tigers are bred under horrible conditions. Leucism is a recessive trait, and if you remember your Punnett squares from biology, that means that both parents have to carry it in order for there to even be a chance. So if both of your tigers are orange and neither one of them carry the trait, it's a 0% chance. If both of your orange tigers carry the trait, that bumps it down up to 25%. If you have one orange parent and one white, that bumps it to 50. In order to guarantee a white cub, you have to have 2 white parents. However, there's not a lot of white tigers out there, so that very frequently leads to cubs being bred with their parents and grandparents. The inbreeding started with Mohan, and it hasn't stopped since. The inbreeding then leads to deformities and death. This is Kenny the tiger. There was an internet rumor circulating that he had Down syndrome. However, he is just very physically deformed. And according to the Turpentine Creek Wildlife Refuge in 2022, the refuge that actually rescued him, he was completely normal and acted just like the rest of the tigers. In fact, Susan Bass stated in an interview with the Dodo in 2015 that he acted like the rest of them. He loved enrichment, he had a favorite toy, he ran around, he ate grass, he just looked a little silly. He was only 10 years old when he died from a very violent skin cancer, only half the normal lifespan of a tiger. They also according to Susan Bass, Every single white tiger is cross-eyed. The same gene that causes them to be white also causes them to become cross-eyed. And this also led to a rare case in the instance of Kenny's brother Willie. He was an orange tiger who still inherited that cross-eyed gene even though he was born orange. And so it's causing deformities amongst not just white tigers, but orange tigers that are born whenever they're breeding for the white tigers. It causes clubbed feet, defective organs, irregular spines. It's almost a guaranteed death sentence from birth, according to the World Wildlife Fund. And whenever orange cubs are typically born, whenever they're breeding for white cubs, they'll typically put those cubs down because they don't generate money. And once those white cubs grow up and are too big for tourists to handle and play with, they're no longer an attraction, and so those cubs are normally killed as well. They then sell these tiger parts on illegal markets. Now that we know about the horrible breeding practices, let's talk about the false marketing around white tigers. White tigers are falsely marketed as an endangered species in order to trick consumers into believing in a false conservation effort. The Tanganyika Wildlife Park in 2022 published an article debunking the myths around white tigers. Their very first argument was that all white tigers are not inbred. However, if all white tigers in the US are related to Mohan, that isn't true. They also said, amongst all their points, that white tigers could occur randomly and naturally. However, according to Susan Bass, there hasn't been a white tiger in the wild since 1950. They also said there was no way of knowing the intentions of every person or facility that has bred white tigers. Whenever called out for breeding tigers for money, they said, "You don't know why we're doing it. It could be for conservation." They really said, "You don't know why." They also said, "We don't believe being mudbloods disqualifies white tigers from existence. Why do white tigers have less of a right to exist than the rest of the pureblood tigers?" Mudbloods is referring to the fact that they typically occur whenever two or more subspecies mix. However, white tigers aren't occurring randomly and naturally. People are intentionally breeding for them, so that isn't the case. Now that we've talked about the false conservation effort, let's conclude. White tigers face many hardships. First off, they're not their own subspecies. Second, the breeding practices are inhumane. And third, they're only bred for attraction rather than conservation. Many people love white tigers because they're magnificent beasts. However, the behind the scenes is never as magnificent. Thank you.
So we have white alligators. So with that, do we see beyond just our white tigers, even into like the white alligators, other breeding practices like this?
So white tiger's a little bit more unique because they are basically like the cash cow for zoos and other attractions. Like, yes, you have your giant pandas and other things that the zoos tend to rely on to bring in money. However, white tigers are one of the most popular exhibits no matter where you go to, and so they know they can make tons of money off of it, and that is why they intentionally breed for it and act as if you're conserving a species of tiger whenever it's literally just saving blonde hair.
Oh, interesting. So with that, here, the people of Wyoming, how can they support the efforts?
So, although in Wyoming we don't have any zoos or wildlife refuges, there are some in Colorado that are actually very good and partnered with Tigers in America, the organization that I mentioned before, and there are good options to go and see tigers that have been rescued, and so those are the ones that I would encourage you guys to see instead of going to the Tanganyika Wildlife Park in Kansas, because they are intentionally breeding for more white tigers and continuing the cycle. And so, because we tend to all vacation, and so whenever you leave Wyoming, keep it in mind.
Fair enough. Let's give one more big round of applause to Bobby. Yeah. Our next judge that the ACOM department would like to thank is the president of our college, Dr. Joe Schaefer. He does consider himself a community college evangelist, and we wouldn't disagree, especially having begun his journey at an associate's in a community college himself. In repayment, his professional commitment has been to strengthening the mission of the community colleges both locally and nationally. Dr. Schaefer's work in the 2-year higher education sector spans more than 2 decades, serving the past 14 years in the role of CEO at 2 different institutions. Since arriving here at LCCC, the college has completed more than $150 million in facility improvements, celebrated multiple record-setting graduating classes, and has seen the college's graduation rates increase by 70%. Those kind of initiatives and those kind of goals are still continuing today with our new opportunities, unlocking opportunities. So continued growth like that is just going to be part of LCCC as we continue. So again, thank you, Dr. Schaefer, for being here today. I would love everybody to look down at your armrest, and you see those lovely little silver plaques right there by your arms. That is part of our Pick Your Perch pathway endowment program that we have started. So all of the little placards out there can have your name on them, or they can commemorate tonight by having one of our speakers' names put on there. So yes, if you are interested, we have lots of opportunities for our pathway endowments, one being Pick Your Perch. If you go out into the lobby on your way out today, there is a big poster sitting out there. You can grab a brochure, or you can call Katie at this number. You can even email her or visit our foundation website. So yes, great opportunity. Something I learned actually was pathway endowments does not, again, necessarily go directly just to the communication and creative arts pathway. It can span all of them. So we have a lot of students tonight that are part of the health science and wellness pathway. So if you would like to support that, again, you can still have your student, our speakers, names commemorated tonight, but we can still also support the health science and wellness pathway if you so choose. We've gotten good at this, but I also want to see if people know a little bit beyond just the whole glossophobia. And I don't think I triggered our next question now that I'm saying that. But if you guys get out your phones again and pull up the Mentimeter, we have yet another question for you. And this one is looking at, I can't remember my password right now. There we go. It's looking at famous presidential speeches. So with that, we have all heard the famous phrase, 7 years ago. But I'm curious, of our past presidents, which one said that? So it is not Kennedy's speech. So the whole, we choose to go to the moon, we choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. It's not that one. And it's also not Reagan's speech of the Berlin Wall. Come here to this gate, Mr. Gorbachev, open this gate. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down the wall. So yes, that is in fact, 7 years ago, did come from Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Very, very famous speech. 3 speeches across time, actually very, very common speeches that are used in the public speaking department just because of some of the common phrases that we hear today and use consistently. Part of our Compelling Voices category, it is Ariana Valley. She is currently enrolled in our health science and wellness pathway and intends to become a naturopathic doctor upon finishing school. She hopes to use these health issues that she has faced throughout her life to help guide her in healing other people. These lessons have helped her understand how extremely effective natural and holistic wellness can be towards our betterment in our lives. Please welcome to the stage Ariana Valley presenting her speech, How Losing 80 Pounds Has Changed My Life.
I remember the day that I stepped on the scale and it read 238 pounds. I wish you could have seen me examining the scale, stepping on and off, absolutely sure that it was broken. It had only been 4 months since I weighed myself last, and there was no way that in such a short amount of time I'd gained 40 pounds. I even remember my exact thought process, wondering how in the world that was accurate. My clothes still fit, they're a little tighter, but they fit. My pictures have looked slightly different, but that's just because I don't know good angles. If I really would have gained that much weight, someone would have told me.
right? It wasn't until later in the day when another scale gave me the absolute surety that I was in denial that I completely broke down. And I don't think my self-esteem has ever taken a harder hit than the hit it took that day. Looking back now, however, I'm forever grateful for the absolute self-awareness that hit me that day. It fully changed my life for the better. Starting the weight loss process was not easy though. It was not rainbows and butterflies, it was actually quite the opposite. Although a majority of the weight had come from birth control and depression, I can't say that a combination of literal binge eating and a lack of physical activity didn't help contribute. My diet contained what I wanted, when I wanted, and what I wanted consisted largely of fast food. My exercise routine, nothing more than the anxious thoughts that ran through my head while lying in bed. I remember feeling motivated but helpless. Knowing that there was so much change that had to be made was intimidating. And even though the change was for the better, it was terrifying. Now, I'm not here to explain specifically what I did to lose the weight. There's not a singular magical answer as to how I lost it. There was a collective of different methods that all came together to help me get together to where I am today. While I don't have the cure-all answer, I do now have knowledge that would have benefited me 4 years ago that I did not understand at the time. If you or someone close to you is going through this journey currently, I hope this information can help you. Now, first of all, there isn't necessarily a right answer. When I was initially starting this journey, I looked anywhere and everywhere on how to lose weight quickly. I wanted it gone with as minimal effort as possible. I tried keto multiple times, and while it may have helped me lose some weight, it made me feel like absolute garbage. I tried watching my macros, I tried watching my calories, I was working out consistently, and in fact, I was lifting the heaviest weights I've ever been able to in my entire life. Although I was gradually losing a good amount of weight, I always had a sense that this doesn't feel good. Well, at the time, I had always assumed it was the structure and the consistency that I despised. I'm now instead able to look back with the understanding that although that may have played a part, it wasn't the sole reason. The diet methods I had been participating in contained large amounts of dairy, processed meats, artificial sweeteners, and seed oils. All of which, according to registered dietitian Rachel Link 2023, are either proven carcinogens, endocrine disruptors, highly inflammatory foods, or destroy your gut microbiome. While these diets may be sustainable for some people, they definitely were not for me. That was something that I had to learn through trial and error, however. I now stand in a position of trying to use food as a method of nourishing and healing my body, rather than intaking food for the sole purpose of losing weight, and it has caused the most drastic amount of weight loss out of my entire health journey. Now 2, you have to create a new identity. There were things that I always knew to be true about myself at the time. I'm obese, I hate working out and I do not do it, I dislike healthy food, my health is not an important concern of mine, and I always revert back to unhealthy ways, even if I'm being healthy now. Although becoming healthy is a good change, it's still an adjustment, and it causes an uproot of everything you know to be true about yourself. It can feel unstable, insecure, and even phony to become a different person. I'm absolutely sure that it helped contribute to the reason my health journey took as long as it has. Although I hated my identity, it was the one consistent thing in my life, and I unknowingly at the time had sabotaged my own health for that stability. However, while recently reading the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he said something that resonated with me so loudly I wish I could go back in time and tell myself the following. Start by changing your identity. He uses the following example. Imagine 2 people resisting a cigarette. When offered a smoke, the first person says, "No, thank you, I'm trying to quit." While this may sound like a reasonable response, this person still believes they're a smoker who is trying to be something else. They're hoping their behavior will change while still keeping the same belief system. The second person declines by saying, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." It's a small difference, but this signals a shift in identity. Smoking was a part of their former life, not their current one. They no longer identify as somebody who smokes. This statement has been so critically beneficial in other parts of my life over the past month that I can only imagine the benefit it would have had during the initial stages of my health journey. And third, life is different afterwards. Different in a bad way? Absolutely not. But different in a way that I couldn't imagine when first starting. My daily activities at the time would consist of sleeping until noon because I was awake until 4 a.m., dragging myself to work or class upon waking up, and then coming back home as early as possible to eat fast food in bed, watching Netflix, and scrolling endlessly through social media. My monthly activities consisted of going to the store, trying on clothes to find something, anything that felt right, and visits to the grocery store to stock up on processed foods and TV dinners. My daily activities differ so much now, not because I've become healthy, but because they're intentional. Not with the intention of weight loss, but with the intention of healing my body and caring for it. I go to sleep early so I can wake up early while having had enough rest to benefit my hormone health. I choose to cook daily with healthy, fresh foods to reduce the inflammation in my body and provide it with the nutrients it deserves, while avoiding foods that are ultra-processed in order to remove pesticides and carcinogens from my diet. I spend time in nature and schedule time to move my body because when I do it consistently, I feel my best. Not only do I now contribute to my physical well-being, but I make sure to contribute to my mental health as well, as I believe they personally coincide. I now try to stay consistent with routines, as well as partake in a schedule to ease mental clutter. I journal frequently, spend daily time in meditation, as well as listen to podcasts and audiobooks, and attend church weekly. In retrospect, I know that my depression was a large contributing factor to my weight gain, and I now understand that my mental health is just as crucial as my physical, if not more. Now that we've gone through my health journey, let's pause and reflect on what we've learned. First, there isn't a right answer. Second, you have to start by changing your identity. And third, life is going to be different afterwards, and that's okay. If you are going through this journey currently, understand that this period of your life is going to be titled trial and error. There will be so many things you learn that benefit you, as well as many things that may hinder your progress. All of these things, both good and bad, will help you. They will help you come to an understanding of what you don't want, which will help you create an even deeper understanding of what you do want. There's a life on the other side of this lesson that contains consistency, stability, and security. And I can't wait for you to make it there, even if it takes the next 5 years. Thank you.
So I assume everyone has asked you what's been the hardest, what's been the evilest, what have you hate to given up, and all that. But I'm curious, in this whole journey, what's been your favorite part?
Watching myself transform into a person I can trust. And so I feel like there was a lot of just trust with myself when I was extremely overweight, and I knew I always broke my own boundaries. And since then, I think I've gained a lot of trust in who I am and who I've become.
I like that. So you're one that loves books and podcasts and webcasts.
Yes.
So with that, what kind of research should we go out there and look at?
I mentioned it in the speech, but I would definitely recommend Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think that's a fairly popular one. A lot of people have already read that book, but I know over the past 6 months, I've changed major habits that I disliked that I had since reading it, and so I can only imagine the benefit it would have had on my health journey.
I like. Let's give one more big round of applause to Ariana.
Thank you guys.
Good job. Thank you. Our next speaker is part of the Creative Voices category, so again, you guys get to be the judges. She is part of the Health Science and Wellness pathway, studying in the nursing program. She wants to become a registered nurse one day and make a difference. She hopes to honor the memory of her brother, and becoming a nurse to her seems like a great way to do so. She is fun-loving, and while she is not the oldest in her sibling line, she still had her brother to boss around, and she greatly enjoyed that. So presenting today, What Do I Do with All of These Tears? Please welcome to the stage, Paula Potter.
In August of 2015, my little brother was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal lung cancer. Most of you would not understand the feeling you get when you receive this type of news. The feeling like someone just sucked the oxygen out of the air. There are no words to be spoken, just silent tears. So many tears. Many think that the grieving process starts when a life is lost. But for my family, it started when we heard those words, stage 4 terminal lung cancer. Grieving for all of the moments that we were never enjoyed with my little brother. Grieving for milestones that he will never ever be able to accomplish. Things such as being a father or even owning his own home. Wow, all those tears. On April 29th, my little brother took his last breath. He lost that battle with cancer. He was only 39. And yes, those tears were present yet again. I was once told when I was younger, those tears are there to wash away the pain of a life lost, in this case, way, way too early. These tears are there to help you do the grieving process. Psalms chapter 30, verse 5 says, weeping endure for a moment, but joy comes in the morning. I think this to mean that they are, for the tears that are shed in grief, that gives you the strength to face, to cope with your loss. It has been several long, hard years since my little brother took his last breath. I hope over time that this will get a little bit easier, but until then, could somebody please tell me what to do with all those tears? Thank you.
I think the door gets louder every time I open it. So Paula, a question I have for you is, what advice would you give to anybody in the audience that might be going through something similar?
So there are actually, in Cheyenne, in any state, city, town you live in, groups that help people to cope with the loss of a loved one, pet, grieving process. There are also places like Peak Wellness, and you have nonprofits that will help you with the same process.
Fair enough. And what is your favorite memory with your brother?
We had so many because I was the only person he was the only person that I was older than. So he was the only person I could boss around. So we always pranked my mom. And yeah, that was all. Sometimes it got bad, so. So that was my favorite moments.
I like it. I'm the oldest of 3, so I completely understand the whole bossing around. I get it. Let's give one more big round of applause to Paula. So yes, again, as creative voices, you guys get to be the judge of our creative voices categories. Again, we have competence, content, creativity, delivery, as well as the overall speech itself in those 5 categories. And then again at the end, we're going to tally up all the scores, and we will give out prizes for our creative voices category. And I have been slacking a little bit giving out door prizes, and I think we should give out some more. We are going to give away our beautiful blue shirt we have here. And it is actually, it's going to go to our trustee, Bob Salazar. Up next, we are going to move back into our Compelling Voices category with Claire Kaiser, presenting you and your veterinarian team. Claire was an equine veterinarian assistant in her home state of Indiana. She hopes that she can raise awareness to the importance of a veterinarian team and their struggles. Claire is in the health science and wellness pathway studying to join the sonography program and get her associates in sonography through LCCC. So please welcome to the stage Claire Kaiser.
Good luck. Thank you.
The love that animals give is one of the strongest loves in the world, and that's what draws us to them. We want what's best for them, and that can make us spend hours researching food brands, trying to find the right one. In wanting what's best for them, we should also be developing a relationship with our veterinary team. I worked as an equine vet tech for 1 year, and I learned a lot of the behind the scenes of the veterinary world. And while many of us have pets, those that don't might end up pet sitting, and you definitely want that veterinary information when watching someone else's pets. Today, we will discuss how having a relationship with your veterinary team helps them to know the quirks of your pet, helps them to have access to previous records, and helps your pet gain access to care in a more timely manner. First, let's discuss how having a relationship with your veterinary team helps them to learn the quirks of your pet. People get nervous at the doctors, and we're not alone in that. Our animals do too, and that can cause them to act out in ways that aren't usual to what they act in home. Getting to know a pet can help keep the veterinary team safe. Standing behind me is a chart that we as veterinary technicians use to learn about the behavior of dogs. Stephanie Jabalt, a certified professional dog trainer, in a 2020 article on dog body language, stated that all tail wagging means is an aroused dog. To interpret the dog's emotions and intentions, look at the speed and direction of the wag, as well as the position of the tail. Next is an equine one, and I studied one very much like this while working as an equine vet tech. Jennifer Williams, who has a doctorate in animal science and founded Bluebonnet Equine Society, stated in a 2023 article on horse body language, horses express their feelings in many ways. Their eyes, ears, and nose are typically the most expressive. If the horse's upper eyelid is wrinkled, that can be the first sign that they are stressed. Now there's a cat body language sign as well. Techs are trained to read these signals, but nothing is better than actually knowing the individual animal. Because even with all the training, injury rates are still high. Large animal technicians and veterinarians suffer the most injuries, most commonly from kicks. According to the British Veterinary Association, in an article written in 2019, 1 in 5 production animal vets rated their injuries as very or quite severe. Having talked about the quirks of pets, let's now discuss how knowing the previous records are very useful to veterinarians. Access to previous records helps the vet know what was previously used, helping inform them on the next treatment. This is my personal horse's x-rays. She has pastern arthritis, which is a little bit visible in that blown up x-ray. She was given one treatment in May of 2022, and at her recheck in August of 2022, we didn't quite get the results that we wanted. And so we decided to go with a second treatment that was compatible with that first treatment. And that combo has her trotting happily around the fields as her little retired self. Knowing previous records can also help to fine-tune vaccine plans. In an American Veterinary Medical Association article detailing vet-client-patient relation, it is stated that fine-tuning a vaccine plan can make sure your pet won't be unnecessarily immunized or overly immunized. It can also help the veterinary team know if they need to pre-treat for any vaccine reactions. For example, we typically give about 10 cc's of Banamine to a 1,000-pound horse if we knew that they had previously had vaccine reactions. And for dogs, we typically advise a certain amount weight-based of Benadryl to be given by the owner before the appointment. Having discussed previous records, let's now discuss the America's vet shortage. And due to the veterinary shortage, creating a relationship can help your pets gain access to care in a more timely manner. According to a 2021 article in the AVMA Journal written by Matthew Soelis, AVMA's chief economist, and Gail Galab, AVMA's chief veterinary officer, the average turnover for veterinarians is nearly twice as high as it is for physicians of a medical practice. Many older vets retired during the pandemic for their own safety, and those that didn't stepped back and did less hours. And in a 2019 AVMA article written by Alex E. Crosby et al., veterinarians also have a very high suicide rate. Females are 3.5 times more likely to commit suicide than the general population, and males are 2.1 times more likely to commit suicide than the general population. And due to not having enough staff, a lot of veterinary practices are turning away non-clients. The veterinary clinic that I personally worked for in Indiana did not accept any small animal emergencies and only did equine emergencies. And for those equine emergencies, the horse had to be an established client. And our rules for the horse to be an established client was to have received an annual exam within the past year. This was done to help reduce the stress on the veterinary team. Let's review what we discussed today. Veterinarians are people who have dedicated their lives to the health of animals. Developing a relationship with them by getting your pet's annual exams helps them to learn the quirks of your pet, lets them have access to previous records, and helps your pet gain care in a more timely manner. Your pet may not be around for your whole life, but remember that you are their whole life, and that is why developing a relationship with your veterinary team is important.
Nicely done. Thank you. So with that, how can our audience members, again, help support our local vets?
So first of all, definitely getting that annual exam for your animal, making sure that they're up to date and that your vet actually knows them is really helpful. But also, just please be nice to them. We're not trying to hurt your animal. We want to be there for your animal, and we want to help them. It is stressful for all of us. I know it's stressful when your animal's hurt, but we're trying our best.
So I'm curious, and I'm gonna be cliche with this, what has been the most unique or favorite animal that you've got to work with?
So I'd say it's not quite unique, especially not in this area, but while I was only an equine vet tech, we did work with one sheep farmer, and we actually got to go to a dystocia, which is a difficult birth. And while we were convinced that the lamb was not going to be alive when we pulled it out, she was actually alive, and it was really nice and fun. And there was actually another one behind her, and they both came out alive, and it was really fun.
Oh, wow. Very, very nice. So with that, let's give one more big round of applause to Claire. Nicely done. We did have 4 judges tonight, and we do want to thank our final, Morgan Koenig. She is the Executive Assistant to the Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs and the LCCC Course Coordinator. What she didn't list on her resume is she is also the wrangler of our faculty. She does a lot to kind of help keep us on track. She solves a lot of our issues and complications that might arise with scheduling, developing, and sometimes even naming our courses. Morgan is a true asset to the college, and if you were at the holiday collage on Sunday, you were able to see Morgan as the first violin chair. She's going to correct me, I always say it wrong. But she was the lovely one that was leading off our orchestra at the very end. Her favorite part about LCCC is its community, which extends to all of you here today, and we, again, wouldn't be able to do things like this without the support of our community. So thank you to you, and also thank you, Morgan, for being here. Comm department loves trivia. So we're back at Mentimeter again, and we have yet another question for you guys. So with that, which Shakespearean play features "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ear"? Which play was that? We have Julius Caesar, Hamlet, or Othello. Ooh, we're pretty across the board, actually. Ooh, one's jumping ahead. But yes, it is Julius Caesar. One of the great things about the comm department is very similar to English. We like to use a lot of creative language devices, a lot of creativity in some of the word choices that we use when presenting our speeches. Shakespeare is a great place for us to kind of find that inspiration, find those rhetorical devices. Got another question for you guys. Which ancient Greek philosopher is known for his teachings on rhetoric and public speaking? We have Socrates, Aristotle, or Plato. And not the fun squishy stuff that we have with our toddlers. We are split across the board on this one. Ooh. Congratulations to the one person that picked Aristotle. Yes, Aristotle, back in 384, 322 BCE. He is the most famous of the Greek scholars. He actually studied with Plato's Academy, where he taught public speaking until his death, and he opened up his own school. To this day, we still teach Aristotle's ethos, pathos, logos in the public speaking classroom, as well as his 5 canons. Science changes, health science changes, math changes sometimes. But public speaking has not changed since Aristotle. You can go all the way back to ancient times, and we still teach a lot of the same things that Aristotle had originally created way, way back then. So yes, our textbooks, although we have a billion of them, say the exact same thing every single year. So if we have any edits, addition, it's just because they found a spelling error. All right, without further ado, we do have our final compelling voices speaker for the evening. It is Cassie Maloney. She is enrolled in, you guessed it, the Health Science and Wellness pathway, majoring in emergency medical services as a paramedic. While Cassie has been working as a paramedic for nearly 10 years, she is currently the operations chief for AMR in Laramie County and in the final stages of obtaining her associate's degree. Cassie plans to continue her education at the University of Wyoming and will continue to lead our local ambulance operation. Please welcome to the stage Cassie Maloney as she presents What Do You Consider Essential?
Hi, honey. Good evening, everybody. By a show of jumping jacks, just kidding. We can just do by a show of hands. How many of you have had to call 911 for a medical emergency? I won't do jumping jacks, that wouldn't be graceful up here. All right. For those of you that haven't, that's okay. I just want you to think about for a moment, what would need to occur, or what would you need to witness for you to need to call 911 for a medical emergency? As our amazing MC has said, I've been a paramedic for just shy of 10 years. I will be celebrating that anniversary in a couple of weeks. And I am currently the chief operations for our local ambulance operation here in Laramie County. Emergency medical services are here to help the public or anyone in time of need, whenever a medical emergency arises. We're there and we will respond when your husband has a stroke, maybe when your wife has a heart attack, when your grandmother falls down and can't get back up on her own, or in the unfortunate event that you find your baby is not woken up in the morning. We're there to help provide care in those times of need. Unlike fire and law enforcement, emergency medical services are not considered essential, meaning we don't have a reliable source of funding to support our service. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we came to be, some history highlights, and a professional organization that's advocating for what emergency medical services do across the United States. Now let's talk a little bit about those high points of the history. EMS has been around for less than 60 years. Some of you in the audience might remember when maybe that wasn't a thing. In 2021, John Eric wrote in his article, Timeline of Modern American EMS, that in 1968, AT&T designated 911 for emergency services. Some of you might remember that. Others might not. You're too young, and that's okay. But 911 is likely one of the first phone numbers that you learned to dial when you were a child. It's an important number to know. Mr. Eric also wrote that in 1972, the TV show Emergency premiered. I don't know if any of you have seen Emergency or know who Johnny and Roy are. They were the stars of the show, and they ran EMS calls and worked at the hospital, and they really had an influence, much like Hollywood has an influence on us today. In 1975, Mr. Eric wrote that the National Association of Emergency Medical Technicians was formed. Work began on a nationwide paramedic course, and the American Medical Association recognized paramedics as an allied health occupation, just in 1975. The last couple of things I want to talk about is the unfortunate events of the 1999 Columbine shooting in Colorado, and then, as Mr. Alan Jackson says it best, the day the world stopped turning, 9/11 in 2001. While we had seen mass casualties like this in a time of war and war zones, we had not yet seen them in our local EMS services, so this was a shock to what we were working with and really helped to change the face of what EMS has become today. While there are many other historical facts about EMS, those were the ones that I felt relevant to share. So let's talk a little bit about the National Association of EMTs. According to their webpage, they were formed in 1975 by both men and women. They have over 90,000 members strong. I am one of them. They are the only national association that represents all levels of EMS professionals, from emergency medical responders all the way up to paramedics. They also work with both private and public sector. What's the difference between a private sector paramedic and a public sector paramedic? Public sector is a paramedic that you would find working with a fire department, whereas I would be considered private sector because I work for a private ambulance company. NAEMT states on their page that their mission is to represent and serve EMS professionals and support personnel through advocacy, education, and research. NAEMT believes that EMS is a distinct and essential service to the public and a fundamental component to the nation's healthcare and emergency response systems. They really do advocate for funding to keep EMS in service. So what's the issue with funding? Well, we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, because emergencies are not planned. I don't know if y'all have ever had an emergency. I have, and it was very not planned. It came at a very unfortunate time, and I did need EMS, and they did come. Reimbursement from insurance companies is very low, and we only get reimbursed when we transport patients to the hospital. NAEMT states in their legislative pages on their website that years of below-cost Medicare reimbursement have hampered effects by ambulance services to hire new staff, update equipment, and continue to provide life-saving services in their communities. I was privileged to participate in EMS on the Hill Day as an NAEMT member a little over a year ago, where I had the ability to speak with legislators and staffers about the issues that we face in EMS. I am also on the local EMS Sustainability Task Force that the Governor's Office has put on. Madeline Beck wrote on February 22nd, 2023, in her article, Bill to Help Fund EMS Heads to the Governor's Desk. Senate File 43 would allow counties and voters to raise up to 4 mills specifically for EMS districts. Without special districts, counties are limited to passing 12 mills for county operations. This was ultimately passed, which is great because this allows local county commissioners and the residents in the county to vote as to whether they want to dedicate funding specifically for EMS. I don't know about you, but I would rather pay a few extra tax dollars or a few hundred extra tax dollars knowing that I would have reliable, sustainable emergency medical professionals coming to my aid when I need it. You can't put a price on life. EMS will continue to change, will continue to grow, and as we say it best in our profession, we will continue to adapt and overcome. The National Association of Emergency Medical Technicians fights for us, for our needs of EMS, the EMS professionals, and the communities that rely on EMS. While EMS is not essential, I hope that you understand the importance and know that it is critical to what we do to help you in your lives on a day-to-day basis, and that it is essential. After all, what would happen if you had a medical emergency and dialed 911 and no one was there to come to your help? Thank you.
How can we, or what can we do right now to support the cause?
Be in tune with local legislation, like I said, Senate File 43. You can study up on that and figure out if that's something that you're willing to be a part of or that you'd like to participate in. Know what is available in your area. I would also encourage anybody and everybody to become CPR certified. And everybody should know how to do CPR and use an AED. That is a highly, highly beneficial skill. And when we might have an extended response time, we live in rural Wyoming, it would be beneficial to the person that would need you, that is having an emergency, for you to be able to start that care then and there.
Mm-hmm. So with that, of all the calls that you guys do get, what percentage of them actually become transports?
It's approximately 70%. We have about a 30% rate where we will go and it's determined that the patient doesn't actually need to go to the hospital or they're able to go by other means. Mm-hmm. So they'll go in a personal vehicle or with family or friend. So about 70% of the time we're transporting.
Wow, very nice.
Yes, thank you.
Let's give one more big round of applause to Miss Cassie.
Thank you.
Good job. Our final speaker of the evening resides in our creative categories, our creative voices category. And she is a freshman from Jackson, Wyoming. She is a 2-time national high school rodeo finals qualifier. She is a business and accounting major who competes for the LCCC Ranch Horse team. Her speech is inspired by her deep Western heritage and, of course, the Garth Brooks song, Friends in Low Places. Her speech titled this evening is Boots. Please welcome to the stage, Cassie Budge.
Blame it all on my roots. I showed up in boots. Y'all, I show up in boots to just about everything. Because of my roots. You see, I'm a 7th generation Jackson Hole girl. And you don't get roots that deep without digging in your boot heels and pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. My ancestors came out west as pioneers and soon became loggers, farmers, and ranchers. They owned hotels, served as mayors, and were leaders of the church. Rumor has it, there may have been a few moonshiners. They left their footprints all over the Rocky Mountains, wearing their 5-buckle overshoes on their homesteads, pulling on their steel-toed boots in the sawmill, lacing up to work the beat as cops, and serve their country overseas. They wore hip boots to guide fishermen, shined up their best boots to go to barn dances, clipped their bindings tight to ski race, and I once saw a picture of my Mimi in go-go boots. These hardy folks are a lot like a pair of fine, handmade boots. They are measured, stretched, and shaped, carved into fine pieces of art full of style. And just like handmade boots, I am one of a kind, high quality, and will stand the test of time. So when I show up in boots to just about everything, please, please know it's not just because my dad hates flip-flops. It's because I'm following in their footsteps, working hard and playing hard. I have chores to do, horses to ride, fish to catch, slopes to carve up, and cowboys to kick up my heels with. And as my family has done for generations, I hope to leave my own footprints on the hearts and souls of everyone I meet.
So we're currently embodying the Western lifestyle.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your favorite part?
My favorite part of this outfit?
Well, let's hear about it.
This outfit is, these jeans are new. Shout out to Satori. She's a friend of mine that goes to LCCC, and she works at Boot Barn. She hit me up with these jeans. And this is a cinch shirt that I absolutely love.
I gotta know, where'd we get the belt buckle?
This is my National High School First Attendant Rodeo Queen buckle.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, with the title of the speech, Boots, what makes for the perfect pair of boots?
Sure. My mama says if they ain't hurting, they ain't helping. I think a good pair of boots has to be comfortable to wear all day long, durable, but most importantly, stylish.
I fully support this.
Yeah.
Let's give him another big round of applause to Kate. So that is our final speaker of the evening. Again, she fits into our creative voices category. So again, we're going to judge on our confidence, our content, creativity, delivery, as well as the overall speech itself. So while we are finishing up our judging and all of our assessments of all of our speakers, we do have a bunch of events coming up here on campus. If interested, our CCA Pathway is hosting an open mic night tomorrow. It is open to the public. So if you have friends, family, if you have students here on LCCC, send them out. It is actually probably one of our bigger events for the CCA Pathway. It's very, very well attended, and it's also double hosted by our counseling office. We also do have esports. It's going to be in our second national championship here Friday night, but then also again on Saturday. Our original group, our national champions last year, are going to hopefully get a repeat again on Saturday. So Friday, Saturday, come out and see our esports. 12th and the 16th, final home games. I shouldn't say final, but final for this year before break officially kicks off for both men's and women's. And then also we have the Blue and Gold Bash Casino Night hosted by our Golden Eagle Club for all of our athletics program. And kicking off our CCA events in the spring semester will be in March when we bring back our first concert, Shakespeare right there again, brush up your Shakespeare, will be our first concert that we have back here in our Serberg and Prentice Auditorium. So please come out to a lot of our upcoming events that we have. It's that time. I have more gifts to give away. We love gifts. Dun-dun. Let's give away a beautiful hat and a nice picture frame to go with it. This one doesn't have a name, so you guys are actually going to have to read your numbers. So it is going to ticket 384-4628. Yay! Ooh. Slowly all of our students are going to come back out. So our next one we're giving away is our t-shirt, and it is going to one of our students in the back, to Shannon Kaiser. I know they're going to come out here and they're going to get all these nice little prizes that they didn't know about. All right, up next we have a scarf. It's going to another student in the back. It's going to Ariana. I know, we're going to be like, surprise. Hi guys, how you doing back there? All right, let's do ourselves a nice little stocking cap. These are cute. I might have to go get one. Oh, I lost them all. Here you go. This is going to Bryce Ramel? Oh, all the way in the back. All right, what did I lose down there? We have a nice white t-shirt that is going to go to a Jessica Jones. Going once? Jessica Jones? Oh, she's in the back. She's actually in her chemistry test. Yeah. We will do our nice lovely hat. Yes, what you got there? This one is going to a James Jones. Nobody wants to be our friends right now. Okay. And we will pass. Oh man, our students are killing it today. This one's going to Cassie Maloney. And last but not least, ooh, this is very nice. It's a nice little, what would you call this? Like an underdrawns kind of shirt. Hopefully this goes to a special mom that came out to support us. Lacey. Yeah. Tickets 4630. She's probably hanging out with Corey right now. Okay. Perfect. All right, so at this time, we are going to grab our students. We're going to bring them out here, and we will actually do our announcement of our winners. Stay. Where'd they all go? They need to be out here. All right, you guys, it's go time. Yep, go time. I'm sorry. right, at this time we are going to do first the Creative Voices category. In third place was Paula Potter with her speech, "What Do I Do With All These Tears?" In second place was Cora Beilich with her speech, "What Herbalism Has Taught Me About Living." She might have went home because she is a high school student, and we support this. And in first place was Kate Budge with her speech, "Boots." Have you guys look over the mic? Yes. All right, yes, one more big round of applause to our contestants for the Creative Voices category. Moving on to our compelling voices. In sixth place was Jamie Jones with her speech, "Vestigial Structures, Evidence of Evolution." She is actually taking a chemistry final right now. In fifth place, Care Kaiser, and you and your veterinarian team. There you go. Good job. In fourth place goes to Bobby Hudak with "White Tigers, The Lie." In third place is Cassie Maloney with "What Is Essential to You?" Second place goes to Ariana Valley, "How Losing 80 Pounds Changed My Life." And with that said, first place goes to Shannon Kreitzer, "ADHD, Not Just a Boys Club." And everybody look at Mike. Yes. Let's give one more round of applause to all of our contestants, all of our competition, and thank you again to all of you for being here. We have door prizes for some of you.